I enjoy the fact with this technique that I have control over it, and it has nothing to do with my anxiety, speech, or anything. Simple as that. It works. It's simple, and you do all the work, but it's not hard work. Mouth, tongue, voice coming out, and that's really the only things that control your speech. It's basically blocking. I sort of stop like that. I'm sort of like I'm about to do an actual word, and I just go, and that's very actually ends, and then after that it gets worse. And really the only thing that puts me in a situation where I'm actually uneasy is because I know or I feel that I'm going to stutter, and that sort of makes me actually back off, whereas in reality I do like to talk a lot, and I have no issues with things like that with people and stuff. So my only real issue is with others and going into situations, or whatever the situation is just my speech. It's almost like I don't want to look stupid, because I know that I'm not, but that's what it looks like to me. Reading, I don't often read out aloud, but I mean, in my when I am reading on my own to myself quietly, well then it's actually clear. Like inside here. The slow pound of Nicholas Martin's heart sounded like a drum buried somewhere inside him. His own breath as he inhaled and exhaled. I read about that he was quite anxious. He was obviously going to see some lady that was lifeless. He could actually see her there, but when he touched the hand, it was almost lifeless, with his two children, and she's next to a neighbour, talking to them, being cautious, and asking them to look after themselves. And she's being a little bit snoopy also, because they're acting a little bit suspiciously. One of the things I also did, I made a few phone calls to a restaurant, and I did slip a few times, but at the same time I was still calm and I didn't panic. So then I called one other restaurant, and it went a little bit smoother, and then I called them back again to cancel. So that's probably one area where I need to work on. Slip every now and then, it's easy to fix, and the good part is I don't get aggravated, because I know it's a thing that will work. Nicholas Martin's air multi-flight from the letter had landed 30 minutes earlier, and now he waited to board an Air Italia flight for the hour and 45-minute trip to Barcelona, which was Demi Picard's destination when she left Malta. He was organising or trying to track the path to go and meet the lady. I think her last name was Picard or something like that, and he tracked her the same way that he tracked the other ones by bribing one of the airport personnel, and that's the way that he tracked her.
Did you make any mistakes?
Not really, no.
What percentage is that?
99. I'm very critical.
You gotta admit your success. I would give you 100% for reading. You didn't make mistakes. Did you make any mistakes?
No.
Be an optimist. When you see the progress, when you see the 100%, acknowledge it. Say yes.
I was only joking.
Yes, but I'm just making a point. That was very good.
She's also wearing an apron. She seems to have a surprised look on her face. Right behind the woman is a kitchen bench. On that bench, there seems to be a wooden knife block. And behind that, I can't see, it's a bit blurry, but up above that are the kitchen cupboards. Talking, but in reality very few words have actually been said. He seems very jumpy, and she's just looking around to the point where she seems she's in charge of everything, and that everything needs to meet her expectations. At the age of 8, approximately, we came to Australia from Croatia. So in Croatia, I completed grade 1. And in grade 1 in Croatia, we begin school at the age of 7. And they hit you hard. Anyway, I found it simple. I got all 5s or A's as they have here.
Yeah.
So for everything, reading, writing, maths, sport, being a pain in the ass, I also got an expert being that.
So you were cocky. Yeah, you were a perfectionist back then already.
Cocky.
Right?
I had no fear of anyone, and then we came to Australia and they put me into grade 2. And in grade 2 in Australia, they were still doing finger painting. And I basically sat there and I thought to myself, what is wrong with these people? So then they moved me up to grade 3, and that's when I began to notice I was having issues with trying to get words out, because English and Croatian are totally different, and they did try to teach me a little bit of English in school, like certain words with the, and I would say duh. I go, no, duh. I go, duh. And from then on it got worse and worse, and as I realised that as the progress went on, that's when I began to not withdraw, but I would try to avoid situations, change words, But apart from that, I was still pretty cocky. I knew I was clever and everything else. And then
Avoiding situations, you know what it means? You stopped developing your speech skill. You stopped it. You, instead of developing, learning, speaking more and more, you were avoiding, not learning, not going forward, but you kind of stopped yourself and you remained at the age of 7. You remained there.
Yes.
So what happened next?
As I grew older, and I went through grade 5, 6 and 7, I used to avoid going to class when I knew that I had to read, because some of those situations were really painful, where I would block up and I'd be at the front of the class holding the book and I would like that.
Yep.
And the worst part of that was the teacher would call me up anyway and make me go through it. That was painful.
It would not have been bad if she explained to you how to do it. What actions you were actually supposed to perform.
Nobody explained anything to me about the English language or the structure. There was no course that I had to do to change it. Then as I got older, up to the age of about 17, 16, I went to do a course. It was called a smooth speech course or easy onset. Within the first hour, I knew I didn't want to do this. There was people walking around talking like this, hopefully. And I thought to myself, I'd rather have the stutter. Then I went to college. I got an engineering diploma and began to work.
Did you do anything in college?
In college, I didn't do anything. College was a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
There was not too many rules or regulations.
And you didn't have to speak, right?
Not much.
That's it. So you still did not continue developing your speech?
No.
Okay.
Then I would say at the age of somewhere around 30, maybe a bit younger, I went and did a speech course in Bradford, England. Mm-hmm. And that was the Maguire program.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Let me finish. So, the first thing, the people that were on this course for years introduced themselves. They all spoke, hello. Now, that was also extremely weird. And we did the course in 3 days. I did it well, and by the 3rd day I was quite fluent, but only in the classroom, because once you're in there for a while, it gets easier and easier and easier.
You begin working on your speech. Of course it works for a short while.
Yes. Then we were told or asked, or as part of the course, we had to go out into the street and make contacts, with 3 people or 5. So you have to go up and talk to them. So that's when the anxiety also occurred. So what I saw with me and others was somebody who's anxious has to go and pick somebody out and eye them off and go towards them and ask them a question. They're nervous with their eyes focused on that person. The person at the other end is watching this strange person come towards them, and they're starting to panic. I thought that was hilarious. But that's because my sense of humour is like that, and that is one of the things that's kept me sane. Humour.
Okay.
Then on the last day of the course, we had to go into the town square or mall, and we were up on a platform and we had to make a speech. Now, I got up and spoke openly, fluently, looking at everyone and actually enjoying it. But that didn't last too long, because there's all the other external things, and the focus was on breath and breathing and projection and blah blah blah. So I knew from the first hour that's not it. But after the course, because I got up and spoke fluently and looked everyone in the eye and into the crowd, like all the crowd were watching, who's that guy? I was asked by Maguire if I wanted to open up the course in Australia. And I said, no, not interested, because it didn't feel natural. Then, I would say 5 or 8 years afterwards, I got onto a guy called Bobby Bodenhammer, who is a preacher in the US. Nice man, and he taught neuro-linguistic programming, a subdivision of it, neurosemantics. Now, that was good because there was no alteration of anything, but it was a lot of work going through the onion layers of different things and different things and different things. And after a while of it, it did improve, but I found it to be too much work.
Too much work that wasn't even related to speech.
Correct. For a few years, I'd say I didn't really do anything. I probably went on the internet and checked out a few things which I would look at, and I'd look at it and I would go rubbish, 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 rubbish.
Yep.
And then eventually I found this website, and the lady's name was Anna Deeter. I think you know her. Anyway, Anna's a nice lady. I don't know about you. And I read all the information. I checked out the videos, which were really important. But I could see that there was no effort from the students on their second or third day. There was no changes in breathing or posture or anything like that. So I thought, well, that sounds more like me. And then I inquired, and I think it took me 6 months, because I sold my house, got rid of all my debts and everything else. And then when I had the money, I asked for, well, let's go and do this. And here I am. And I'm so glad that I did this, because the nicest thing I can say is so simple. Today is day 3 of the class. So obviously there was day 1 and 2. Day 1 I thought went quite slowly. I thought when Roman was doing his explanation and then through to you, I sort of thought he went on a little bit too long, but I never saw it as an issue because I came here to listen and learn, and therefore I wasn't trying to keep any thoughts like wish they'd hurry up or any of that, so I wasn't concerned. Second half of the day was probably the most awkward one, and there was a bit of pressure there. But day 2, I found it a complete change. I realised how simple it is as long as you follow it. So even then I was still trying to listen and slow myself up, because that's generally been my biggest, not problem, issue, because I'm pretty quick in thinking and my actions and everything, whereas this is the opposite. It's a bit more thought, definitely focus, and one word at a time, whereas I'm probably used to trying to say 8 words at the same time, which, yep, by the way, doesn't work.
Now you realize this.
It's really simple. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but everything was simple. Everything was structured. Found it simple, logical.
Logical. Thank you for the word.
Simple and logical.
Yes. How did stuttering impact your life? Did it stop you from doing anything you wanted to do?
Absolutely. I'm just trying to think of the things. One of the things, it stopped me from talking as often as I wanted to, because, as all my friends will tell everyone, I like to talk. Unfortunately, it was always in short, sharp bursts, and generally quick. So, yes, it impacted me because it frustrated me more than anything else. But I still kept going with things, but with difficulty and obstacles.
Yes. Were there some things that you wanted to do? For example, for some people who stutter, I've learned so many already stories that they wanted to become a teacher, a lawyer, a public speaker, whatever, but they had to change their preference of their job, of their career.
No, I wouldn't say there was any specific thing that I wanted to do, but I thought I can't do this because of my speech, because there was many things that I could have done but chose not to do them. What I've seen from other people's comments is a lot of them are concerned about the cost and issues like that. I didn't care. I would have gladly paid God knows how much. But I thought, let's give it a try, because it looks like the right thing, the results look right, when I was reading through all the comments, it's just like anyone else. You're always going to get people knocking, arguing, saying, I can't believe it, without actually doing the course. They were already experts on the course why it was not going to work, which I thought was pretty stupid of them. And I did notice that you spent a lot of time trying to convince people and argue, and I used to read your comments and I used to say to myself, why are you wasting your friggin' time?
You are such a logical person. I'm not doing it anymore.
Because
Thank you.
You can't win in a world of skeptics, desperate people,
Yep.
other classes, other techniques, teachers. I just thought, what the hell are you doing, Anna? Just cut yourself off from that rubbish.
Okay.
You don't have to prove anything to anyone.
Yep. Yep.
They're either going to do the course or they're not. But the more they see people doing the course and the more they see the results, the more they're going to become interested. Because even though I figure this is the way it works, they're going to criticize, write down rubbish, talk to their friends, but at the same time, every now and then, check your website to see it again. Should I? Ooh, should I? No, it's rubbish. I don't think. Oh, I might try it.
What would you recommend to people that are in this condition that you just described? Criticizing but looking, criticizing but looking. What would you tell them from your experience?
From my experience with this course, obviously I can't argue with it because I've seen that it's easy, I've seen that it's logical, I've seen that the outside factors like breathing and fear and nervousness and all those other external factors don't really impact on the way you produce sound. So that's one thing that I work out. To anyone who's actually thinking about doing the course after mock 3 days is do the course. Simple as that. It works. It's simple. And you do all the work, but it's not hard work. There isn't anything to fear. It's really simple. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but everything was simple. Everything was structured, mouth, tongue, voice coming out. And that's really the only things that control your speech. There isn't breathing, because I've tried it. I've tried to be tense and still speak like that. I've tried to relax and still speak like that. It makes no difference. What I can say is tongue and the lips and everything else, I didn't really put much effort into it because it was natural. And I think something that's natural, there's not much you have to do to bring it back to being natural.
That's right. That's why it took only 3 days.
Well, that's why it was simple. I am happy with my results, but I'm not excited because it's as though it says about time. Really more than that. So I'm not jumping over the moon, I'm not doing any of those, but overall happy to realise how simple it was. And I only wish, as you said ages ago, that somebody had this when I was 10 or 12 or whatever it was, you know? That's because that's 42 years of angst and frustration and everything else.
What is the difference between the Ettalon program and all others?
I think I have said this before. Simple, logical, natural. And that is what every stutterer wants.
Yep.
Simple, logical, natural.